Got that smile upon my face, 'cause there's excitement in the chase, this I know. Yeah, I'm going for the ride and find myself, I am alive, and I soar. Still I run towards the wind and let the challenge draw me in, 'cause I want more. Oh, we are all looking for adventure. 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 We are all looking for adventure.
All right. Guys, my name is Jason. I'm your host for the Brand Identity Design Podcast. And today I'm going to be interviewing Dr. Marshall Goldsmith. And we would be discussing about overcoming classic challenges faced by successful entrepreneurs. And I've been really excited about this interview from weeks, from the time I have booked Dr. Goldsmith. I was very, very excited. All these conversations, back and forth emails, I'm really excited. So I want to thank each and everyone for joining today's live for this engaging discussion with the world's #1 executive coach and author, Dr. Marshall Goldsmith, on practical strategies for overcoming the common challenges that entrepreneurs face after building and scaling their businesses. Okay, and he would be sharing us his extensive experience from coaching successful entrepreneurs, and Dr. Goldsmith will provide us valuable insights on managing growth, raising capital, and managing work-life balance, and a lot more. So just in case if you don't know who Dr. Goldsmith is, he's the Thinker 50 Hall of Fame member. He's the 2-time #1 leadership thinker in the world, and he's also been recognized as the world's #1 executive coach over the last 10 years. And believe it or not, Dr. Goldsmith has actually is an author and editor of around 51 books, including 7 bestsellers and 4 New York Times bestsellers. His book has sold over 3 million copies and has been translated to 35 languages. He's a world authority when it comes to helping successful leaders achieve positive and lasting change in behavior. He has clients, his clients includes 200 CEOs, more than 200 CEOs, 5 leaders who have recognized as CEO of the Year. He has worked with companies such as General Electric, IBM, Ford, Pfizer, Procter & Gamble, Goldman Sachs, Coca-Cola, 3M, the World Bank, and many more. I want to personally take a moment and say how happy and blessed I am to have Dr. Goldsmith here. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. How are you, Dr. Goldsmith?
Oh, I'm doing just great. Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. So lovely to have you here. And just in case, guys, if you're wondering on LinkedIn audio, is that why you can't see Dr. Goldsmith, is because we are live streaming on video on YouTube and LinkedIn. And I also have an audio event simultaneously running here on LinkedIn audio. So just in case, if you want to catch up the stream, the video stream, you should be able to find the link under the event notes. Everything is listed on the event notes. You should be able to find it, or the event description, whichever is easy. So I know you guys are interested with the interview, so let's actually go ahead. And I want to actually ask you, a very interesting question, something which I stumbled upon your book, The Earned Life, and I think this is a phenomenal masterpiece. I'm a slow reader. I take my own time to read it. Okay, and I want to actually introduce people to this concept just in case if you guys are new. So in this book, you speak about the concept of the hungry ghost, a state of constant craving and dissatisfaction, even in the face of success. And it is a powerful metaphor, and that helps us to understand why achieving goals doesn't always bring happiness. Okay, based on what you have written in the book. So my question to you, Dr. Goldsmith, to start off, and this is kind of a personal question. So how can we identify and overcome our own hungry ghost tendencies, such as constantly striving for more despite of already achieving success, in order to live a much more fulfilling and contented life? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's very, very important question. I'm not a religious Buddhist. I'm a philosophical Buddhist, and the hungry ghost is a Buddhist concept. The hungry ghost is always eating, but is never full. And one of the things that I teach is be careful to avoid the addiction to achievement, and always be careful never to place your value as a human being based on results. The most widely read poem in history is Bhagavad Gita. If you look at the Gita, the great learning of the Gita is you never become attached to results. Let's talk about why. One, you don't have total control over the outcomes. If you're an entrepreneur, you're going to win some, you're going to lose some. I've never met an entrepreneur yet who succeeded in every thought. That's just not real. So one is, you don't have total control over the outcomes. Sometimes you're going to win or lose. The environment changes. By the way, look at a company like Google. No matter how successful you are, they're existentially threatened by now by this new technology. It could come anytime, anywhere. One, you don't have total control over results. And two, what happens after you achieve the results? How much long-term happiness does that bring? A minute, a day, a month? Not much. Let me give you an example. One of the great people who endorsed my book is named Dr. Albert Bourla. Albert is the CEO of Pfizer. So a couple of years ago, I asked Albert, how's it going? So, it's great. We came up with this vaccine, saved 1 billion lives or something. I said, hey, I took that vaccine. Very, very good. And he said, well, it's stock price all-time high, employee engagement all-time high. Oh, really? Great news. So many good things. He was the CEO of the year. I said, what's your problem? He said, I have a huge problem. Next year. Do you think the people that bought that stock at this price care what he did last year? No. Do they care he came up with a cure for COVID or vaccine? No. What do they look at? Hey, next year. It's all next year. If his value as a human being is he has to achieve more than last year, it's very bad. He's never going to be happy. The track record for professional football players and basketball players in America is abysmal. Football players about 50% bankrupt, and they're depressed. Terrible record. One of my good friends, Curtis Martin, is helping them. Over COVID, 60 amazing people whose names are in the book, they're not a secret. My friend Mark Thompson and I spent 600 hours with these people every week discussing their lives. That led to the book, The Earned Life. These are all amazing achievers. Some are very happy, some not so much. One of the guys in our group is named Safi Bakal. I asked Safi a question. What'd you learn so far? He said, I learned an incredible lesson from this group. He said, and this goes back to your good question, I used to believe that if I just achieved more, I would be happy. He said, he's a scientist. He said, I finally realized happiness and achievement are independent variables. Achieve to achieve and be happy to be happy, but never think if I achieve more, I will be happy and find peace. That's just not real. I said, Safi, I'm glad you realize this. You already have a PhD in physics from Stanford. You already started 4 businesses successfully, and you're millions and millions of dollars. You're a New York Times bestselling author who wrote a book called Loonshots, and you've consulted to presidents. If that is not enough achievement to make you happy, do you really think a little more is going to matter? No. He said, you're exactly right. Be happy to be happy. Find peace to find peace. Achieve to achieve. But as it says in the Gita, never become addicted to results. And never believe that if I do this, I will be happy. The great Western disease, I will be happy when? When I get the money, status, BMW, condominium, it's all going to be okay then. Wrong. There's only one book that always has the same ending, and they lived happily ever after. That book is called a fairy tale. That's not the real world. In the real world, every day we start over. And if we become addicted to results, we can never win. Michael Phelps, 25 gold medals. What do you think about doing after winning number 25? Killing himself. Why? Couldn't achieve more. So it is great to achieve. And it's great to be happy, and it's great to find peace. Never believe that achievement is going to lead to happiness.
I totally agree. So, this hunger which you have for more and more, it's a never-ending process, and you will never be content, and you will never, I remember you giving this example on one of your podcasts. You said that would 99.9999 would make any sort of difference? Okay, what are you aiming after? So a lovely answer. Go ahead, Dr. Goldsmith, if you want to say something. Go ahead.
Oh, that's great. What's the next question?
Yeah, the next question which I have for you, it's about the topic of conversation we have for today. What are some of the most common challenges that you feel successful entrepreneurs face once they have built and scaled their businesses?
Right. Yeah. And now let's talk about classic challenges faced by successful people. I'm a pioneer in helping successful leaders get better. My clients are winners, they're not losers. And successful entrepreneurs, some classic challenges. And I talk about this in my book, What Got You Here Won't Get You There. One of them, especially for entrepreneurs, is winning too much. Why? Successful entrepreneurs are winners. It is incredibly difficult for winners not to constantly go through life winning. Let me give you a case study of winning too much that almost all my clients fail. And I will bet everyone listening has failed this case study. You want to go to dinner at restaurant X. Your husband, wife, friend, or partner wants to go to dinner at restaurant Y. You have a heated argument. You go to restaurant Y. It was not your choice. The service is awful and the food is terrible. Option A, critique the food. Point out our partner was wrong. You know, this mistake could have been avoided if you'd listened to me. Option B, shut up. Eat the stupid food. Try to enjoy it and have a nice night. What would I do? What should I do? Almost all of my clients, what would I do? Critique the food. What should I do? Shut up. Well, very hard for winners not to constantly win. The next classic problem for entrepreneurs is adding too much value, especially engineers, scientists, IT people, adding too much value. What does that mean? I'm young, smart, enthusiastic. You're my boss. I come to you with an idea. You think it's a great idea. Rather than just saying great idea, our natural tendency is to say, oh, that's a nice idea. Why don't you add this to it? The problem is the quality of the idea may go up 5%. My commitment to execute this idea may go down 50%. It's no longer my idea, boss. It's your idea. Very difficult for smart, successful people not to constantly add value. One of my good coaching clients retired a few years ago. His name, JP Garnier. JP was the CEO of a very large drug company, GlaxoSmithKline. I asked JP, what'd you learn about leadership as the CEO of this company, GlaxoSmithKline? He said, I've learned a very hard lesson. And everyone listening, every time you get promoted in life, this lesson will become more real for you. He said, my suggestions become orders. My suggestions become orders. Now, I said, if they're smart, they're orders. If they're stupid, they're orders. If I want them to be orders, they are orders. And if I do not want them to be orders, they're orders anyway. My suggestions become orders. For 9 years, I trained the animals in the United States Navy. What is the first thing I always teach the animals? When you get that little star, your suggestions become orders. Animals don't make suggestions. And now it makes a suggestion. What's the response? Aye, aye, sir. That suggestion becomes an order. Well, I asked JP, what did you learn from me when I was your coach? He said, you taught me one lesson. Help me be a better leader and have a happier life. I said, what was it? Before I speak, breathe. Breathe. Slow down that brain and ask myself one simple question. Is it worth it? Is it worth it? And he said, as the CEO of this big company, 50% of the time, if I had the discipline to stop and breathe and ask, is it worth it? What was my answer? Am I right? Maybe. Is it worth it? No. Okay, next question.
Thank you so much for that, Dr. Goldsmith. So the next question which I have for you is with regards to your experience with some of the biggest misconception that entrepreneurs have when it comes to scaling their businesses.
Yeah, the problem with scaling for entrepreneurs goes back to my previous example. It's letting go. It's letting go. You have an idea that may improve the quality 5%, but damage the commitment 50%. You got to learn to shut up. You've got to learn they aren't you. So some of the problems with entrepreneurs are letting go. The other thing is entrepreneurs classically expect other people to be like them. Entrepreneurs are always puzzled. Why don't they have a better work ethic? Why aren't they as dedicated as I am? Well, it's not their money and it's not their company. It's your money and it's your company. Obviously, you're dedicated. They're not as dedicated as you. Why would they be? It's not their money. It's not their company. Well, very hard for entrepreneurs not to put ourselves into other people's view and say, Why don't they act like me? Well, they're not you. Make peace with that. And the other thing is what's called the golden rule: treat others as you would like to be treated. It doesn't work in this situation. Why? They aren't you. Treat others as they need to be treated, not as you would like to be treated. So it can be very hard for entrepreneurs to scale. And probably the biggest problem is letting go. It's very hard to let go. Now, by the way, one thing I'm telling everyone who's listening right now, if you ever do an IPO and you do get bought by a private equity firm or by public people, whatever, you get bought, you don't own the business anymore. And it is incredibly difficult for entrepreneurs to deal with this. They sell the company. I don't know what they're thinking. And then all of a sudden they're shocked to find out they have a boss. And by the way, the people who buy the company always have the same story. Oh, we're really not going to change your culture. We love it just the way it is. That's why we're buying it. Blah, blah, blah. Lie, lie, lie. Basically, they immediately come in and change the culture. Why? It's their money. Once you sell the company, it's their money. It's their show. You have to learn to make peace with that. One of the great business turnaround guys I ever met is Fred Hassan. Successfully did 6 major turnarounds, sold 6 different companies. What's he learned to do, though? Let go. You sell the company. It's theirs, not yours. Move on. Move on. Okay, next.
Thank you, Dr. Goldsmith, for that. My next question is, how can entrepreneurs balance their long term vision and goals with the need to stay agile and adaptable in a constantly changing business landscape? And you may want to, go with the 6-question coaching process, which you had mentioned.
Yeah, this is a very good technique I'm going to share with everyone. Now, I'm going to mention several articles. This one is called 6-Question Coaching. If you'd like a copy of it, send me an email, marshall@marshallgoldsmith.com. I'll send you a copy of the article. It's very practical. Also, it's on video. If you go to my website, 6-Question Coaching, YouTube. Now, about once every 2 to 3 months, you need to have a dialogue with each person that works with you. 6 basic questions. Question 1, where are we going? Where are we going? Here's where I see the bigger picture. Here's where I think we're going. Where do you think we should be going? And as you mentioned in your question, that changes. As it changes, they need to be knowing how it changed and how it's going to impact their life. Question 2 is, where are you going? I'd say, here's where I see you and your part of the business going. Where do you think you should be going? And have a dialogue. So they're connected with you on both the bigger picture and their role. Number 3, doing well. Here's what I think you're doing well. And then ask the person a question. What do you think you're doing well? What are you proud of? A great question, because they may come up with things you never thought of. Question number 4 is suggestions for the improvement. And I talk about feed forward more than feedback. Talk about the future. Moving forward, here are ideas I think might help things get even better. Then ask them a question. If you were the coach for you, what ideas and suggestions might you have? Then question number 5 is, how can I help? As your leader, as your manager, how can I help you? And question 6, here's what I'm trying to improve. What ideas do you have for me to get better? 6 very simple questions. Then the key to making this process work is what's called mutual responsibility. Mutual responsibility is you say, look, things are rapidly changing here. If you ever feel a lack of alignment, a lack of clarity, how does what we're doing now fit into your larger vision? Let me know immediately. Because if I do my job every 2 or 3 months with these 6 basic issues, and your job you do in between, let me know if there's ever a problem. There is zero reason we shouldn't be aligned, no matter how quickly things change.
Thank you so much for that, Dr. Goldsmith. I loved your answer. My next question to you is what role does a company culture play in the success of a business, and how can entrepreneurs maintain a positive culture as the company grows?
Yeah, very important. A common misconception about company culture is it takes forever to change, for example, a large company. Well, it's just not true. The great case study I've worked with is my friend Alan Mulally. Alan Mulally, he goes to Ford. The stock is valued at $1.01. He leaves the stock is valued at $18.40. Stock went up 1,837% when he was the CEO, and he had a 97% approval rating from every employee in a union company. Unheard of for a CEO. United Auto Workers, love the guy. And when he left Ford, I think he made $400 million. But you know what? Nobody cared. Why? He's such a great person. Well, Alan's a great friend of mine and a hero of mine. So I was in theory Alan's coach, although I learned much more from him than he learned from me. I asked my friend Alan a question, how do you keep this culture? And you know what he did? He comes in and very clear. He says, here are the rules. Here's the way we're going to treat people. You're going to treat people with respect. You're not going to make bad comments about people. You're not going to put people down. You're not going to show off. Simple rules. If you read my book, What Got You Here Won't Get You There, it's all consistent. Only thing he did was very clear. Option A, this is the way we're going to act. Option B, work someplace else. Well, sure enough, one of the big guys challenged him, one of the executive vice presidents. Alan, if I want to make comments about people, I can. I don't like all these ideas. What did Alan say? Thank you. You're a great guy. I'm sure you have a good job somewhere, but goodbye. Second guy challenged him. Goodbye. That's it. After that, 14 of the 16 people that led the company to bankruptcy or almost bankruptcy turned around the company. It was the same team. What changed? He changed. Did the culture change? Boom. Culture changed very quickly. Why? Very clear rules, very clear expectations, no tolerance for inappropriate behavior.
Thank you so much for sharing that example, Dr. Goldsmith. So my next question is actually related to your book only, What Got You Here Won't Get You There. You discuss about blind spots, and I had this question. So why is that when we achieve greater success as entrepreneurs, it can become even more difficult to change behavior? Why do you think that's the case?
Well, what happens is any human or any animal, in fact, will replicate behavior that is followed by positive reinforcement. The more successful we become, the more positive reinforcement we get. So we fall into something I call the superstition trap. What's that sound like? I behave this way. I am successful. Therefore, I must be successful because I behave this way. Well, that's wrong on two dimensions. One dimension is you're successful because you did many things right. And for many entrepreneurs, smart, dedicated, hardworking, driven to achieve, creative, entrepreneurial. And in spite of doing things that are dysfunctional, arguing, winning too much, adding too much value, proving how smart you are. And the key is don't get confused with because of and in spite of. We've all got stuff on the in spite of list. And everyone I coach, you think you have nothing on the in spite of list? Pick humility. Everybody's got something on the in spite of list. And then the other thing is, the problem with success is this. I did this, I'm successful. Well, okay, you were successful in the past. That doesn't mean you're going to be successful in the future, and you probably won't if you just keep doing the same thing. Why? What got you here to this level of success is not necessarily going to get you there to that next level of success. Someone wrote a book about that. What got you here won't get you there.
Won't get you there. Thank you so much for answering that, Dr. Goldsmith. Lovely answer. My next question is from your book, Mojo. So your book, Mojo, focuses on the concept of finding and maintaining personal fulfillment and satisfaction. So according to you, how can individuals cultivate their sense of mojo, and what are some common obstacles, do you think, that can prevent us from achieving it?
Well, I'm going to give you just a very simple tool you can use. And if you don't implement anything based on what I said, but this tool, you're going to have a happier life. Your mojo scores will go up. And what is mojo? That positive spirit toward what we're doing now that starts from the inside and radiates to the outside. Well, that's the way I define mojo. And you can see that anywhere in life, at the hotel, checking in, the entrepreneur. People love what they do and communicate that spirit. Well, every day, ask yourself 6 questions. And they all begin with the phrase, did I do my best to? Now, I learned this idea from my daughter, Kelly. My daughter, Kelly, I'm very proud of her. She's an Ingram Chair, full professor, and chairman of the marketing department at Vanderbilt. She has a PhD from Yale, and she knows a lot more about research than I do. So Kelly and I were discussing the topic of employee engagement. He said, Dad, everything in employee engagement is a passive question. Do you have clear goals? Do you have meaningful work? Do you have a friend at work? Nothing wrong with these questions. If you give a negative score, you blame the environment. She said, teach people something called active questions that begin with the phrase, did I do my best to? Now, I'm going to give you 6 active questions. And by the way, what's great about did I do my best to? You can't blame someone else. Doesn't say you even succeeded. Did you try? Number 1, every day. Did I do my best today to set clear goals? So every day, start your day, set clear goals. Number 2, every day. Did I do my best to make progress toward achieving these goals? Number 3, every day? Did I do my best to find meaning? Don't wait for the world to provide meaning for you. Find meaning yourself. Create meaning. Number 4, did I do my best to be happy? Take responsibility for your own happiness. Don't wait for somebody else to make you happy. Did I do my best to be happy myself? Number 5, did I do my best to build positive relationships with other people? And finally, number 6, did I do my best to be fully engaged? Every day, ask those questions. Now, if you'd like to read research about this, send me an email, marshall@marshallgoldsmith.com. I wrote an article just asking yourself these questions every day. You're going to get better and your Mojo scores are going to go up. Most people can't do this. Why? It's hard. Why is it hard? It is very hard to take personal responsibility. When you ask these active questions, you can't blame somebody else. You got to look in the mirror. Most people cannot do this past 2 weeks. Why? It's hard to look in the mirror every day. And by the way, if you're telling me I think this is easy, you proved one thing. You have never done this before.
I totally agree with you.
And I have a question for you. Have
Yes,
you
Dr.
ever tried the daily question process?
No, I have not, but I'm going to start doing it.
Blah, 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 blah. Talk is cheap. Talk is cheap. Now, why haven't you done it?
I never thought of it that way, actually,
Well,
to be quite.
it's very hard. It takes very few
It,
minutes a day to do this, and you'll get better at anything. Most people can't do it. By the way, people ask me, do I have a coach? I have someone call me on the phone almost every day for 25 years to talk to me. Why? My name is Marshall. I was ranked #1 leadership thinker in the world and #1 coach in the world. I have someone call me to help me every day. Why? I am too cowardly to do any of this stuff by myself and too undisciplined to do this stuff by myself. I need help. I need help, and it's okay. Who are we kidding? We all need help. It's okay. Everyone I coach needs help. How many of the top 10 tennis players have a coach? 10? Of course they do. We all need help. Get over that macho nonsense willpower. I'll do it on my own. And just get some help.
absolutely, I totally agree there. My next question is from the book Triggers. You discuss the idea of behavior change and how difficult it can be to make lasting change in your life.
Right.
You spoke about something like, don't stereotype yourself, and then about changing perceptions as well as behavior.
Right.
Would you mind elaborating on this?
The first thing is, one of the most important things in change is don't put yourself in a box. Don't stereotype yourself. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about our identity or our self-concept. Where does it come from? If we look at 2 dimensions, one dimension could be past, future, and the other dimension could be called self-other. We can talk about 4 different ways that we shape our identity. The first one is past self. This is called our remembered identity. Well, how do you know who you are? You have memories of the past. I think I'm a bad tennis player. How do you know? Well, you remember losing these matches, and that shapes your identity. The second one is called our reflected identity, what others said about us in the past. Well, you think you're a bad listener. How do you know? They told me I was a bad listener. The one I want to spend some time on, though, is called our programmed identity. We have all been given a program as to who we are. And these programs often have very little to do with anything genetic. It's just kind of our parents' shorthand or somebody's shorthand for us. And for example, when I was brought up back in Kentucky, I was brought up to believe, I was very smart, but I had no mechanical skills. So I'm never encouraged to be around cars, tools, mechanical things. So I don't learn this. Now, my father says this, my friends say this, and they talk about, I know nothing about tools. They talk about a universal joint. I thought that was something people smoked. I have no idea what they're talking about. I'm 18 years old to take a test, United States Army Mechanical Aptitude Test. I scored in the bottom 2 percentile of the entire United States. It's not till I even question this, and I'm 26 at UCLA getting a PhD. Old Dr. Tannenbaum hands out 2 pieces of paper on one thing, things I do well. What do I write? Scholarly pursuits, research, blah, blah, blah. What's it? Smart. What can you not do? I have no mechanical skills. I will never have any mechanical skills. He said, how do you know you have no mechanical skills? Oh, it's hopeless. I took a test, United States Army mechanical aptitude test, and bottom 2% hopeless. He said, how are your mathematical skills? Oh, perfect score on the SAT math achievement test, 9 courses of math, past calculus, great mathematical skills. He said, why is it you can solve complex mathematical problems, but you cannot solve even simple mechanical problems? Good question. He says, how's your hand-to-eye coordination? I play pinball games, shoot pool. He said, why can you play pinball games and shoot pool, but you can't hammer nails? When I was 26 years old, I realized there's only one reason I had no mechanical skills. I was told I had no mechanical skills, and I believed that. We put ourselves in these boxes all the time. Now, I didn't have a sibling. I was brought up as an only child. If you have a sibling, it's really sometimes easy to see where this program comes from. You are defined relative to your sibling, such as he's the smart one, the pretty one, the clever one, the nice one, the mean one, the funny one. I was in a hospital once, and there were 300 people in the room. I said, how many of you were programmed to believe you were the responsible one? Everyone in the room raised their hands. Everyone. 3 women started crying. One woman said, I'm sick of always being responsible. I'm responsible for my husband, my kids, my parents, my friends. I'm always have to be the responsible one. Well, there's nothing wrong with being responsible, but we put ourselves in a box that I always have to be responsible. It's a burden. Nothing wrong with being smart, but we have to show off and act like we're smart all the time. It's annoying. So think about how do you define yourself, and don't put yourself in a box. For example, I'll coach people. I have to deal with this all the time. So I can't listen. I've never been able to listen. I look at the guy's ear. Well, why can't you listen? He goes, I'm stuck in there. You don't have a genetic defect that keeps you from being a good listener. You just keep telling yourself, I can't listen. As long as you say that, 2 bad things happen. 1, it's going to be hard to change. But 2, even if you do change, you're going to feel like a hypocrite or a phony. Why? If the real me can't listen, and I get feedback from people saying I'm a good listener, you know what I'm thinking? I wasn't the real me. I was just putting on an act. That wasn't the real me. So very important, don't put yourself in a box, and realize, that final box is called creating. We can create our own identity. You don't have to live out this identity you've had for the last 20 years. You don't have to be that person. Unless there's a genetic defect, we can all change.
That's such a lovely answer. I appreciate this very, very much. My last question, which from your book actually, The Earned Life once again, is the importance of aligning aspirations, ambition, and actions.
Right.
Could you speak on that? Thank you.
What's important for having a great life? There are not that many things that matter. Number 1 is you need to take care of your health. If you don't have your health, the rest of the stuff doesn't count for too much. So take care of your health. Number 2, have a great relationship with people you love. Almost all research shows good relationship with people you love, very important. Then number 3, you need a middle to middle class income. Once you get beyond that, you may believe money is going to make you happier. It really won't. There's very low correlation between money and happiness. Once you get past kind of a middle class income. What does matter in life? 3 things. 1 are aspirations. You need some higher purpose in life. You need an answer to the question, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? The answer is, well, I want to make a lot of money so I can retire and play bad golf with old men. Probably not going to be very satisfactory. Why am I doing this? Now, our aspiration doesn't have a finish line or a set time. Our aspiration goes on. It's that big purpose of life. Why? And the second question is our ambitions. That's what we achieve. And our achievements need to be aligned with our aspirations so that, I'm working hard, I'm achieving things that are important, I'm good at it, and there's a reason I'm doing it. And then third is we need to enjoy the process of life, our actions. Some people historically have become more aligned, they're more over-focused on actions. See, throughout the history of the world, most of our ancestors were poor, they didn't have any money, they didn't have time for lofty ambitions or aspirations. They were just making it through the day. Many humans today are just making it through the day. They play the video game, they do what the boss says. They're just kind of like drifting through life. Not good or bad, it just is. Many people are kind of stuck in the action phase. Some people are stuck in the aspiration phase. They live in their heads, they don't really achieve a whole lot, but they think lofty thoughts and have great dreams, but then they may not even enjoy what they're doing. People listening to this call, entrepreneurs tend to be lost in the third phase. That's that achievement phase, becoming, as we discussed earlier, addicted to achievement and can't let go. So very important to realize you need to achieve. That's a good thing. At the same time, your achievement needs to be meaningful, connected to a higher aspiration. And 3, you need to enjoy the process of life. And one of my favorite parts of the book, The Earned Life, is called the Marshmallow chapter. At Stanford, they did a big research study involving children and marshmallows. Give the kid one marshmallow, say, okay, if you kid, you eat one, you get one. But if you wait, you get 2. Oh, well, some kids eat one, some wait. Allegedly, they did longitudinal research over time, and the kids that ate one grew up becoming losers, and kids that ate 2 were more successful. The message behind this is really clear. Delayed gratification is good. Delayed gratification is good. Every self-help book, delayed gratification is good. There's only one problem. They didn't take the kid with 2 marshmallows and say, kid, wait a little more, you get 3. Wait some more, 4, 5, 10, 100, 1,000. And where does the story end? An old man sitting in a room waiting to die, surrounded by thousands of uneaten marshmallows. Sometimes in life, you got to eat the marshmallow. As an entrepreneur, don't get so driven to work and achieve, you forget to enjoy life. Now, many people on this call are from India. I had a very, very sobering experience. I just spoke at IIT to a group of brilliant kids, ages 18 to 26. First, I thought nobody wanted to show up, listen to some old man talk about a bunch of Buddhist stuff. Place was full. Second, I thought, well, they're going to think this is all nonsense. I started talking about, why am I doing this? Why am I working so hard? What's it all mean? 10 kids started crying. 10 kids just started crying. Their whole life had been one message. It's all going to be great if you get into IIT. Once you get in there, you got it made. They got in there. What happened to the level of competition? Did it go down or did it go up? Instead of this, they got that. Well, achievement is good. But you got to start asking yourself a question, at what price? At what price? And these kids were sitting there going, many of them pretty much gave up their childhood for that. Is it worth it?
Lovely answer, Dr. Goldsmith. So guys, if you are tuning us on LinkedIn audio or video, if you do have questions, now is the time. Please raise your hand. I would be bringing people up shortly. So I just have one other question which I like to ask. Then we will take a break so that more people can join the stage. So my question is about legacy. So what is that one thing you want to be remembered for?
Oh, my legacy is very simple. I just want to give away everything I can to as many people as I can and help people have a little better life as best I can. Right now, my biggest project is called Marshall Bot. I'm working with a wonderful company in India, Fractal Analytics, and we're making a video bot right now. Well, it's going to start with the text bot. Then it's going to be an audio bot, then a video bot. And I'm programming it with everything I know. The bot will be trained to be me and answer questions in a way that's somewhat similar than I would answer it. Right now, the bot answers questions about half the time better than me now. And it's a text bot. It's only going to get better. So, yeah, that's it. I just want to give away everything. And my legacy is help as many people as I can in the time I have left to do it. And then hopefully after that.
That is so cool. And I love the fact that you're doing it. And it is really incredible. I applaud you for that. So I see that a lot of people are trying to join the stage. I would encourage individuals who are listening to this audio or video, feel free to join the stage because this is a phenomenal conversation, and you would be able to speak to Dr. Marshall Goldsmith on this live. So I think it's a cool experience, and you should take advantage of this. Let me actually go ahead
Let me give everyone a little idea. As I grow older, I just want to help people have a little better life. Now, this is your chance. If there's anything you can ask me that I could maybe give you some advice, might help you have a little better life, what would it be?
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's actually pause this conversation. I'm gonna quickly do a sponsor shout out, and in the meantime, let's if you want to have a beverage or something in between, feel free to do that. Okay.
Okay,
All
I'll
right.
be right back.
Delivered to your inbox daily. Do you want to cut out all that time searching for speaking opportunities so you can simply apply and spread your message globally? If you've answered yes to any of those questions, join the Gig Getters Alert service today, where we'll email you speaking opportunities, virtual or live, from across the world so you can apply, you can be seen, you can get paid to speak today. Join the Gig Getters Alert service today so we can support you to not only be a great speaker, but to speak your greatness and spread your message globally. Join us today.
Okay, so the audio which you heard is by Elliot K. He was my first guest on season 4. I would highly encourage you to take advantage of this gig getter alert service. Very cool service. I'm endorsing it because I have also personally subscribed to it. The link is under the event description, the show description, or the event comments. You should be able to find it easily. Okay, shout out to Elliot K for sponsoring the show. And the next sponsor is Dr. Amanda. And I'm just going to play her audio now.
Do you want to find out how your neurology works? Do you want to understand why you do what you do? Then it's really simple. Just check out yourlifeliveit.com, and there you'll find lots of different ways for you to be able to learn more about you, why you do the things you do, and more importantly, how to change those in a really quick, effective way. We call it unthinkable change. The change that you'll experience with neural coding is fast and it lasts. Don't wait anymore. You get 86,400 seconds every day. Once it's gone, it's gone. We are committed and passionate about helping people create unthinkable change in their lives. We've been doing this since 2008 and literally changed over 41,000 problems, deleted them from the neurology, and then installed a solution that works best for the client. Whether you want to work one-on-one or take one of our award-winning neural coding online courses, take action today. The costs of not doing that are just more days wasted. So connect with us. We're here to help. We're here to help you create unthinkable change that's fast and it lasts. It's your life. Live it.
All right, so that was Dr. Amanda Fu Rayland, and she is an incredible sponsor. She's sponsoring season 4 of my podcast. Please reach out to Dr. Amanda to get recoded. Her website is yourlifeliveit.com. All right, so let's actually get back to our interview. Thank you so much for patiently waiting, Dr. Goldsmith. Okay, so let's start with Q&A. I have a few of my friends who joined the stage. We have Leslie, Rose, and Christine. I also see a few other friends who are actually down in the audience. I want to say hi to Phyllis, Lenny. I also see Peggy and Catherine. So lovely to see you folks. And if you are interested in joining the stage, please do not hesitate. Okay, so let's start with my good friend Leslie. So Leslie, I hope we are audible. Just say a few words. I want to make sure the audio is streaming through the video part. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you for having me up, Jason, and thank you for your guest. Just really incredible conversation. Sorry, it's Murphy's Law. My 3 dogs are barking as I'm trying to speak. So yeah, I just wanted to quickly share how interesting it is that with especially what
So we had a connection. We just lost the connection. Give me a second. Let me just reconnect back. Technical issues.
I love and improve of myself. That's something that
Leslie, I'm so
way back
sorry.
when.
Leslie, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Could you rephrase that question again because we had a connection issue? I'm so sorry. Could you restart?
Yeah, no, what I was saying is there's a lot of similarities and connecting the dots with what I do when I work with people about, having that self love, that self worth. And how many people can really say, I love what I do? It's coming from my heart, my soul. I'm passionate about my career, about the relationships that I have among other people. But if we don't have that self worth, that self love, and that connection, and really we've been so disconnected with getting outdoors and just being among nature, which is so critical. That connection and nurturing is so vital and important. And the sense of community, too, is so critical. So you've brought so many things to the table today. And it's just beautiful how I can connect with what I do and that we are making changes in this world. So thank you.
Okay, next question.
All right, all right. Next question. So, Christine, please go ahead. Do you have a question or a comment for Dr. Goldsmith?
I do. Hi, it's so nice to speak with you again. And Doctor, it's a pleasure to.
Oops.
The connection is dropping. Give me a sec. Let me just try it again.
Overcoming classic
Wait. The
challenges
last thing what
facing
I heard was
entrepreneurs. My challenge in
wait.
particular, I guess, could
Okay,
be
Christine,
a
would you
classic
would you mind
challenge.
repeating that?
I have been in my
Christine,
particular. Yes,
I'm
can
so
you hear
sorry.
me?
Could you repeat that again? I'm so sorry. I had a little technical glitch,
Yes,
Oh,
unfortunately.
yes, absolutely. I'm so sorry. Can you hear
it's
me?
okay. Yes, now I can. Yes.
Okay, great. My challenge, and now that I do think about it, is probably more classic than it was a few years before. I'd been in my industry for 25 years. I decided to branch out on my own about 4.5, 5 years ago.
Right.
But a couple of years ago, I did have a couple of things happen within a very short period of time that affected me physically and emotionally. One of those being COVID, um, which did affect me cognitively. Um, and another thing happened which caused me to, and I hate using the victim word, but I was attacked and assaulted, and it did affect me as well. I was injured, and it also affected me cognitively. So, going back to my business has been a bit of a challenge. I did take a pause, and I'm now better. I'm significantly better. It's something I did not speak a lot about. A lot of vendors and people that I worked closely with. I was in the hospitality industry, mostly weddings, social events, which, social events, we tend to be very social with each other
Right.
or had been. But, business goes on, people move on. So I didn't get a lot of questions, thank goodness, because I wasn't prepared to answer them. So now I want to dive back in quickly. I hate to see my husband struggle to be the breadwinner when he and I were equals in every way. Our children, we have 4 children um, that are graduating college and getting out on their own, help from us. So, my question to you is now that I am basically restarting as if I'm a startup, when before I was making 6 figures easily, sometimes monthly. I am now at zero. I'm bootstrapping, to put it mildly, and basically thrifting and reselling to try to get my business back on its feet again. I am officially disabled and collecting disability at the moment because I have to. Otherwise, my family just frankly wouldn't make it. So I'm trying to find resources in the way of business owners that are disabled or handicapped, and trying to find resources in that way, fully intending to give back. And actually, I'm doing a fundraiser on one of the platforms to resell. So, my question to you is, Doctor, um, I need to start from scratch. I don't even have a website anymore. So, my question to you is of restarting. What do you feel is the most important thing for me to focus the little bit of reserve that I have at the moment to restart my business, as far as website, email, marketing account? Help me. If you were me, or I was your daughter, how would you direct me as far as the smartest move is to go?
I'm not really an expert on your industry or your business, so I probably am not a good person to give you technical or business advice. I just give you a little psychological advice. One thing is,
Perfect.
it's very hard to take a step down in anything, and
Yes.
you got to let go of the past. You've got to let
Yeah.
go. All right, I used to make X. That's great. I'm not making X now. It's okay. I'm starting over. It's not my fault. Things happen. I'm starting over. Every day you got to feel I'm starting over. Now, you're basically the product. You're no longer in a big business, you're the product. You got to realize they don't have to buy, you have to sell. You're in sales. You're the product.
Yes.
You take it one step at a time, but you realize there's two things that you're going to need to establish credibility. One is you need to be competent. Let's assume that you are competent and you're doing a good job. Two, though, is you need to
Mhm.
be recognized for being competent, which is quite different. So you really need to focus on the issue of self-promotion. Now, let me ask you a question. How are you in the field of self-promotion? You good at that, or does it make you uncomfortable?
It hadn't ever made me uncomfortable in the past. I am learning recently what imposter syndrome is lately. I have a little bit of that. Although I look back at what I've achieved in the past, and I don't have a reason to have that.
Yeah.
But when I look at things that happened to me to make me the way that I am today, I find myself being doubtful. But yet, I still have the talents, the gifts, and the knowledge that I had before.
Now, again,
So
there's
that's
two
something
issues.
I work
One
on.
is having the talent and knowledge. So let's assume that's there. The
Yeah.
second thing is being recognized for this talent and knowledge. It can be
Hmm.
very frustrating to start over and to kind of reestablish credibility, to reestablish your brand, reestablish your reputation. But what's done is done, and you have to start over one step at a time. And you have to say, what can I do today to make a small step forward in building my brand and building my reputation? And really have a clear brand. This is who I am. Make it something people can understand. Like my brand, I'm help successful leaders achieve positive change in behavior. Do a Google search, helping successful leaders. First 500 hits, 450 are me. I got a brand.
Wow.
Well, try to have a very clear and simple brand. Then focus your marketing on building that brand and constantly focus on being the world's authority at that brand, whatever that brand is for you. And again, start over. The other thing that's very hard is forgive other people. Some people that
Mm,
did you they're very inappropriate. Forgive them. Why? Not for their needs, but for your needs. It's very hard not to carry this stuff around. Forgive other
yeah.
people for who they are, and forgive yourself for expecting that they would have been someone else. Forgive yourself. So I would say
Wow.
breathe, forgive yourself, forgive other people. You're starting over, make peace.
Gosh.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. That was a lot more than I
Okay.
expected.
Next
Thank you.
question. You're
Lovely,
welcome.
lovely. So we have Rose who is next in the queue. So Rose, please go ahead. Do you have a question or a comment?
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Goldsmith, for your insight. I really, really enjoyed listening to you. Um, I just started my journey as a solopreneur, and I wanted to actually talk to you about Buddhism because it's something that I'm really interested in. So
Sure.
I wanted to ask you two questions.
Sure.
One is how can an
One at a
understanding
time. One at
Okay,
a
yeah,
time.
sure. Sure,
Okay.
sure. So so the first question is how can an understanding of Buddhist concepts such as impermanence and non-attachment benefit entrepreneurs in
Let's
managing
stop.
risk, navigating uncertainty in the business world?
Okay, let's stop. First thing is, one thing about Buddhism that's very important is accept what is. Two, never expect things to stay the same. And just by understanding and making peace with what is, you're much more comfortable in taking risks. And one of the greatest problems a solopreneur has is sunk cost. I put in all this money, and you just want to keep investing in what you put money in because you put so much money in it. Well, the sunk cost means it's gone. Whatever you invested in is done. Now, some of the investments you made may have a huge return. Some of them may be going nowhere. Well, our tendency is just keep bidding that dead horse because we put so much money in it. So a good thing about Buddhism is you breathe, you start over. Here's where I am today. Here's where I am right now. It really doesn't matter how much money I put into this or time I put into this. That was yesterday. Here's where I am now, and here's what it's worth now. And make peace with that. And then just also move forward. So the other thing as a solopreneur is you got to realize you got to be willing to deal with rejection. And you can't take things personally. You can take them seriously, but you can't take them personally because you take them personally, you're not going to be good at it. You're in sales. You're an entrepreneur. You're the product. Peter Drucker said, we're here to make a positive difference, not to be smart or right. You got to sell. You got to sell. You are the product. You need to be good at marketing. And don't look for logic or fairness in life. Try to just make peace with what is and say, all right, here I am. This is it. Here's my resources today. Here's what it's worth today. Here's the market today. Doesn't matter about last week. And how can I best succeed today doing that? Now, I had one other question. What was the second question?
Yeah, that's amazing. I think that the sunk cost fallacy is so huge. The second question I have is how do you incorporate Buddhism into your daily practice?
Oh, for me, Buddhism is my daily practice. I'm again not a religious, but a philosophical Buddhist. One of the questions I ask myself every day is on a 1 to 10 scale. How would you score in this question? Did I declare victory in life? You know what I get every day? 10. I'm declaring victory here. Let me give you a little Buddhist philosophy. Where is nirvana? You know where nirvana is for you right now? Is this some old bald guy talk on a video conference? This is it. It's not out there someplace. It's not next week, next month. It's in here.
I love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay.
Lovely, lovely. Thank you so much for that, Rose. I want to circle back to Leslie. Leslie, I just want to make sure that do you have a question by any chance you wanted to ask Dr. Goldsmith?
No, I think I'm good. I'm just really enjoying this conversation, and there's so many avenues and really great insights to
Thank
build yourself. So, but yeah, thanks.
Awesome, awesome. I wanted to actually, ask some funny questions. So let's do a rapid fire question. So my first question to you, Dr. Goldsmith, is what is your go-to karaoke song after a long day of coaching successful people?
Well, you may not have known this about me, but a little bit about my background is I left a good job in the city. I was working for the man every night and day, but I never lost 1 minute of sleeping, worrying about the way the thing might have been. The big wheels will keep on turning, turning, and proud Mary keep on burning. We be rolling, rolling, rolling on a river.
That was super cool. That was super cool. I love that. Thank you so much for that. So, what's the name of the song?
Proud Mary.
Proud Mary. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. All right, my next question to you is that if you could switch place with any CEO you have coached for a day, who would that be and why?
It would have been my friend Alan Mulally who invented the BPO process and turned Ford around. And I'd switch places with him a day for learn more about what he did. I mean, I've studied what he did for years, but I still have a lot to learn.
Alan Mulally, thank you so much for sharing that. Next question is that as a fan of the color green, do you have a favorite green vegetable or is there a green food you just can't stand?
I now live in Nashville. I have a new favorite green vegetable, fried green tomatoes.
All right, all right. Okay, so my next question, which I have, it's from the book, one of your favorite book, Old Path and White Clouds. Again, the same thing, which Christine, no, Rose spoke about, the idea of impermanence and everything is constantly changing and nothing lasts forever. So
Right.
if you could choose one thing that would remain constant throughout your life, what it would be and why?
The desire to learn.
Lovely, lovely, lovely. Thank you so much for sharing that. How about I ask you one question about The Wizard of Oz, because that's one of your favorite movies, which you had mentioned. So, if you were a character from with The Wizard of Oz, which one would you be?
I am a character from The Wizard of Oz. And which one am I? The Scarecrow.
All right.
Now, the Scarecrow wandered through that movie looking for what? A brain. The Scarecrow had a brain during the entire movie. He was always coming with great ideas. The Scarecrow didn't know he had a brain, though, until he got what did the wizard give the Scarecrow? So he knew he had a brain, a doctor of thinkology degree. You see, I have a PhD. Anybody that has a PhD has a huge need to prove they're smart. Why else would you do it? And we want to believe that when somebody gives us these degrees, that we're smart. We are, in essence, the Scarecrow.
Absolutely, absolutely. I want to actually give you the opportunity to speak about the business side of things. If you want to reach out to Dr. Marshall Goldsmith, the website is marshallgoldsmith.com. I also
marshallgoldsmith.com. And my email is marshall@marshallgoldsmith.com.
Yes, absolutely. I would highly encourage you to get a copy of the book, The Earned Life. It's one of my favorite. I have also mentioned the ebook link under the event comments and the event description or the show description. You should be able to find it. If you want to get just an ebook, it's $2.99.
Wait. I'm not sure it's still $2.99, so I don't want to falsely promise here. It was $2.99 for a while. They change it all the time, so it may or may not be $2.99.
All right. It may or may not be $2.99, but whatever is the price point, I would highly encourage you to get it. In fact, I would also highly encourage you to get all the other books Dr. Goldsmith has also written. It has tons and tons of knowledge and wisdom around it. Please go through Dr. Marshall Goldsmith's website because it has a lot of resources, ample amount of resources, and I don't think you would be able to finish everything because he gives everything away for free, and I love what he does. So I want to ask you, is there any specific event or anything which is upcoming or any promotions you'd like to speak on today on my show, sir?
No, not really. I'm just creating my bot, and just like I say, I just want to give things away, so I'm not really here to sell something.
Awesome. If you could leave our listeners with one thing they can take away from this whole conversation, what would that be?
My final advice to everybody is quite simple. Breathe. Now, I want you to imagine you're 95 years old and you're just getting ready to die. You're on that deathbed. Here comes that last breath. Right before you take the last breath, you're given a beautiful gift. The ability to go back in time and talk to the person who's listening to me right now. The ability to help this person be a better leader, better entrepreneur, more important, have a better life. What advice would the wise 95-year-old you, who knows what mattered in life and what didn't and what was important and what wasn't, what advice would that wise old person have for you that's listening to me right now. Whatever you're thinking now, do that. In terms of performance appraisal, that's the only one that will ever matter. That old person says, you did the right thing, you did the right thing. That old person says, you made a mistake, you made a mistake. You do not have to impress anyone else. Some friends of mine interviewed old folks who were dying to get to ask this question, what advice would you have? On the personal side, 3 words, be happy now. Not next week, not next month, not next year. Be happy now. The years pass very fast. Enjoy the process of life today. Don't get lost in I'll be happy when. When is an old person waiting to die? Be happy now. Learning point number 2, friends and family. Never get so busy climbing that ladder of success, we forget about the people who love you. For many entrepreneurs, they do that. It's a huge mistake. And the final advice, if you have a dream, go for it. Entrepreneurs tend to be good at this because if you don't go for it when you're 30, you're not going to do it when you're 80. It doesn't have to be a big dream, maybe a small dream. Business advice isn't much different. Number 1, life is short. Enjoy what you're doing. Enjoy the process of life. It passes quickly. Number 2, do whatever you can do to help people. The main reason to help people has nothing to do with money or status or getting ahead. The main reason to help people is much deeper. The 95-year-old you will be proud of you because you did and disappointed if you don't. And then finally, just go for it. The world's changing. Your industry's changing. Do what you think is right. May not win. At least you tried. Old people, we don't regret those risks we take and fail. We usually regret the risk we failed to take. And finally, my mission in life is pretty simple. Just try to help people have a little better life. If 1 or 2 people listening to me talk today maybe help you have a little better life, this is a very good use of my time. So thank you so much for this nice invitation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here, Dr. Goldsmith. Is there anything else you'd like to share with my audience before we wrap up today's conversation?
No, thank you.
Lovely, lovely. So thank you so much, guys, for tuning in today. We would be wrapping this session up. I want to quickly give you a heads up on next week's show. The next week's show is gonna be about the impact of home staging on real estate sales with Elaine Penhall. It's gonna be on May 10th at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So on that note, I personally wanted to thank all my listeners, supporters, fans, everybody who is helping me with this show, and even Dr. Goldsmith for being here. You take care of yourself. You have a wonderful morning, evening, wherever you're in the world. Thank you so much.